Across the infinite sea of the multiverse, where galaxies drift like ancient ships upon cosmic tides, two presences stirred, beings older than time, older than the first word of creation itself. One was Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds, the eternal balance between life and entropy. The other was Darkseid, the Lord of Apokolips, the absolute will of domination, a god whose single thought could warp the fabric of reality. Their paths had never crossed in the known continuum, not because they could not, but because the very existence of one repelled the other. Galactus was the hunger that maintained equilibrium in the cosmos, consuming worlds to preserve universal order. Darkseid was the hunger of will, the consuming of all free thought and existence into his image. Two hungers, opposite in nature, destined to one day collide. It began when the source wall cracked. In a distant reality bordering the edge of the Marvel continuum, Galactus, attuned to the shifting balance of cosmic energy, sensed the distortion. He halted his endless journey across galaxies and turned his gaze toward a place no mortal or god should ever look upon, the bleeding barrier between dimensions. For Darkseid, the crack in the source wall was more than a fracture. It was opportunity. He had searched for eons for the mythical beyond, a realm said to house powers far greater than his own. He believed it to be the true domain of creation, perhaps even the seat of the presence, or the fabled one above all whispered among the old gods. The bleed between universes was his chance to reach it. Galactus approached not out of greed, but necessity. The energies spilling through the rift were corrupting the cosmic lattice of his own reality. Left unchecked, they would unravel existence itself. He sent forth his heralds, Silver Surfer, Firelord and Stardust, to map the anomaly. What they found, however, defied comprehension, a planet not of their universe, burning with fire pits and ruled by fear. A world named Apokolips. When Silver Surfer first entered its atmosphere, he was overwhelmed by the sheer density of despair that cloaked it. The cries of enslaved billions echoed through his mind. Fire rained from the heavens as if the planet itself wept in agony. And at its core stood Darkseid, unmoving, silent, yet fully aware of the trespasser's presence. "You are not of this universe." Darkseid's voice thundered across the psychic plane, shaking the very air. "Speak, Herald. Tell me why you invade the dominion of Darkseid." The surfer, his board gleaming with the light of distant stars, spoke calmly. "I seek the source of a cosmic wound that bleeds into my reality. Its origin lies near your world." Darkseid's eyes flared with crimson energy. "Then your master and I share a problem. But understand this, Silver One, the wound belongs to me now." Before the surfer could respond, the Omega beams erupted. They bent through time, curving around dimensions, chasing him even through wormholes. The surfer barely escaped by diving back into the dimensional breach. But in that instant, Galactus saw through his herald's eyes and witnessed Darkseid for the first time. For a moment, both beings stared across the divide, Galactus from his colossal worldship, Darkseid from his obsidian throne. Galactus spoke, his voice vibrating through the void. "You tamper with the order of creation. Withdraw your influence, or your world shall be consumed." Darkseid's reply came with calm finality. "You cannot consume what has already been claimed. All that exists will belong to me." Thus began the cosmic convergence. Soon the first confrontation was inevitable. Galactus arrived at the rift's center, his form dwarfing planets, his armor reflecting galaxies. Darkseid, encased in his dark aura, rose from the heart of Apokolips, walking through the dimensional bridge like a god emerging from the void. "I did not seek war," Galactus said, his voice echoing like thunder over eternity. "War is the only truth." Darkseid answered coldly. "And through war, I find the anti-life, the answer that you, Devourer, have sought in vain." Galactus extended his hand, energy surging like a cosmic tempest. "Then you shall be the next world I consume." Darkseid smiled faintly. "Try." The two titans locked eyes across the dimensional rift, their power surging and twisting the cosmos around them. Galactus's energy storms collided with the gravitational pull of Apokolips. The Devourer of Worlds had met the god of tyranny, and the cosmos would never be the same again. The multiverse screamed in distortion as Galactus and Darkseid faced one another in the eye of cosmic oblivion. Galactus spoke first, his voice a rolling wave of eternity. "You stand between the balance of life and death, god of tyranny. Your obsession threatens all creation. Step aside or be unmade." Darkseid's expression remained carved in stone. The crimson glow of his omega beams pulsed like the heartbeat of the void itself. "You mistake purpose for power, Galactus. You feed to live. I conquer to define existence. Where you bring balance, I bring meaning. There is no creation without control, and I am control incarnate." The air between them fractured. Galactus raised his hand, summoning the power cosmic. Streams of starlight and energy erupted, like nebulae collapsing into singularities. With a single gesture, he unleashed a beam so vast it illuminated galaxies beyond. The torrent of power consumed everything in its path, vaporizing asteroids and rending dimensions apart. But Darkseid did not flee. He stood in the heart of that storm, his eyes igniting with Omega fire. The Omega beams lanced out, bending through dimensions, coiling and striking back against Galactus's energy torrent. The collision produced a cataclysmic burst of light that spanned universes, a flash so bright that worlds in both realities momentarily thought their suns had died. The Omega effect pressed forward, forcing Galactus back. The Devourer raised his arm, deflecting the onslaught, his world-ship system straining to contain the power. The air quaked, celestial dust spiraled as time itself began to distort. "Impressive," Galactus said, his tone almost curious. "But you are not beyond hunger. You are bound by ambition, by ego. You are still small." Darkseid raised his hand, and the black fires of Apokolips ignited around him. "Small," he said, his voice vibrating through every molecule of the void, "then tremble before the infinite." He pressed his palms together, channeling the Omega sanction, the dark counterpart to creation itself. Beams of pure anti-life erupted, striking Galactus square in the chest. The energy burrowed deep, tearing through layers of cosmic armor and reaching the essence beneath, where Galactus's mortal core, once the man named Galan, still lingered. The Devourer staggered, the impact shaking whole galaxies. Planets near the rift shattered under the shockwave. Galactus gritted his cosmic teeth, roaring with a fury that cracked the very heavens. "Enough." From his palms, Galactus unleashed a maelstrom of pure power cosmic, absorbing the nearby starlight, drawing from dying suns, even siphoning the life force of black holes. His body expanded beyond form. He became a living constellation, a storm of infinity. He reached forward and struck Darkseid with the force of a collapsing multiverse. Darkseid was thrown through his own dimension, smashing through citadels of obsidian and crumbling the foundations of his world. Yet even as he fell, the Omega effect coiled around him like a serpent. His eyes burned brighter, feeding on the chaos. Darkseid rose again, unbroken, his will indomitable. "You devour worlds," he said, his tone low, thunderous. "But I devour the soul of reality itself." He struck once more, this time teleporting directly before Galactus, their colossal forms colliding. Each blow echoed like the sound of creation being rewritten. Galactus's hand smashed through mountain-sized fragments of space debris. Darkseid's fists landed like the hammering of gods. For a brief moment, they grappled in silence, two eternal forces locked in contest, their powers spiraling into chaos. The multiverse bent beneath their fury, but Galactus began to change tactics. His eyes glowed with an ancient, unfathomable light. "You mistake strength for victory," he said. "But I am not merely power, I am necessity." Before Darkseid could respond, Galactus opened his palms and absorbed the Omega energy surrounding them, feeding on it as if it were cosmic radiation. The light of Apokolips dimmed instantly. The very essence of the Omega effect flowed into Galactus's core, his body glowing brighter and brighter until his presence outshone entire universes. Darkseid stumbled back, his connection to the Omega force momentarily weakened. For the first time, his face twisted, not in pain, but in disbelief. "You absorb my power." "I absorb existence," Galactus replied, his voice like collapsing reality. "You wield death. I sustain it. There is no void I cannot consume." With one final surge, Galactus released the stored Omega energy back at Darkseid, magnified 1,000-fold. The beam struck with devastating force, piercing through Darkseid's armor, breaking through his essence, scattering his molecules across the dimensional bridge. Apokolips screamed as its master was engulfed in the blast. The planet began to break apart, its core collapsing inward. The rift between universes imploded, sealing itself with the residual energy of the two titans' fury. When the light faded, only Galactus remained, kneeling, weakened, his hunger vast but his purpose fulfilled.